Hey guys, welcome back. We are going to chat a little bit more about our menstrual cycle. So this is important for all areas. So I hope that everyone has moved into this video. Okay, so for starters, we are so lucky as women to have our menstrual cycle. It's actually the fifth vital sign. So we have blood pressure, we have respiration, we have temperature, we have, what's the other one? Might be in here somewhere. Heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate as well. So it's our fifth vital sign. So if we have, it's an outward indication of how our body is going. If you are on the pill, you do not have a menstrual cycle. So you cannot understand what is happening within your body. And the longer you're on the birth control pill or any type of hormonal control, the more disconnected you are from your cycle. So, the contraceptive supports have been really helpful for us as women. However, the conversations I have with women and myself is that it's not actually used for contraception. It's used for skin, it's used for period pain, it's used for all of these things, these symptoms that are not actually related to contraception. So, and that's where I have a real problem with the birth control pill or any hormonal birth control, is that it actually disconnects us from our body and flatlines our hormones, and we can't actually, we don't have access to that beautiful fifth vital sign that we have if we aren't on those contraceptive supports. So, and obviously there are other ways that you can track your fertility and also prevent pregnancy. And that, the other ways of preventing pregnancy also protect you from STDs. So just be open and just learn, and then you can make your decisions as you go. I was on the birth control pill for 15 years. Mainly because of my skin in the beginning, and obviously not obviously, but afterwards it was for contraception. So, but I stayed on it for 15 years. So my body, when you first get to your period, when you're say 13, 14, 15, it's just such an immature highway system from that information coming from your brain to your ovaries is such an immature connection, and it takes 5 years for that connection to actually be 100% accurate. So when you start to go on the pill within 5 years of the start of your menstrual cycle, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because you're not allowing that beautiful highway of hormones to actually be connected. So for me, I think I went on the pill 6 months after I got my period, because I had like pimples everywhere, all over my face, all over my back. It was awful, and we didn't know any better. We didn't know any different. So that was a beautiful sign. Those hormones were a beautiful sign. Sorry, those pimples were a beautiful sign for us to say, actually, there's something going on with your hormones. Let's see if we can balance them naturally, and start to support the body in its infancy of creating that highway. So that's just what I want to begin with. And we're so lucky that, our menstrual cycle has been notoriously thought of as a burden, and why do we have this, and why don't men have it? But we have to rethink that, because it is the most amazing outward sign of how our health is going within our bodies, and we are so lucky to have it. And I really want you to start to see that as we go through this this module. So understanding your hormones is not about having babies. It's about health. It's about wellness. It's not about fertility. It's not about that having babies part. What I love also about this is you can really start to work out what's going on within your body earlier than what men can, I suppose, because they don't have that outward sign. So I definitely know for me, I didn't know how my cycle worked at all. I mean, obviously my cycle was absent for 15 years. So I didn't understand it until I started, I came off the pill to have a baby. So until I came off the pill, and I just thought it was going to happen straight away. But I didn't understand. I didn't even understand ovulation. I didn't even understand that there was 4 phases. I just didn't understand. And conversations with women that I've had over the last 5 years is they don't understand either. They've never been taught. So this is your opportunity to learn, and I'm here to teach you. I am doing a specialization at the end of the year to be a certified trainer in fertility awareness method. Which is you tracking your cycle and tracking your symptoms. So I'm really excited to be participating in that, and it'll just be an extra add-on to the program in the next few rounds. So stay tuned for that. So if you are listening to this, maybe go back into your into it later so that you can have a look at this beautiful picture that I have up here for you. So this is, and I love this picture because it's such a beautiful indication of what actually is going on within the body. So we have 4 phases in our cycle. So we have our menstrual phase, which is menses, which is when we have our period. So our cycle, as tracked, when we track it, our cycle starts on day 1 of our period. So we have around 4 or 5 days of our period, and in that time it's the lowest amount of estrogen in our bodies. Then we get the pituitary gland in our brain releases follicle stimulating hormone. So that's what you see there on the screen from the brain, and that starts to increase the amount of estrogen. What the increase in estrogen does, it actually increases the size and the maturity of the eggs or the follicles within the ovary. So over time, you get an increase in estrogen, you get an increase in the size of an egg. One of the follicles actually takes over and matures more quickly, and then that matures to about 2 centimeters. When your estrogen levels are at the right height, we get a release of a hormone called luteinizing hormone. So that spikes, that creates ovulation. So that's what actually smacks the egg out of the follicle. So that's what happens at ovulation, is this LH surge, which is luteinizing hormone surge. The egg is released. What happens now to the follicle? So that's the ovulatory phase. It's about 3 days. When the ovulation has happened, the follicle that is left behind becomes what we call it is the corpus luteum, and then it starts to actually secrete progesterone. So our beautiful luteal phase, which is that 4th phase actually of the cycle. See that guy there, he's like releasing lots of progesterone. He is keeping our uterine lining nice and thick just in case conception happens. And so that uterus and that uterine lining is ready for implantation of an embryo. If there's no implantation of the embryo, then the progesterone starts to reduce and dip, and that's when your temperature starts to drop. So as you can see, it turns into the corpus albicans, and then basically the progesterone levels and the estrogen levels go to the lowest point, and then that beautiful uterine lining that you've been growing for the last 28 days actually starts to be shed, ready for the next cycle. So as you can see down the bottom, that the uterine cycle is that as the estrogen increases, then it increases the thickness of that uterine lining. And then it increases further with that progesterone being released, and then it starts to die down as no conception happens. So when I was doing IVF, I had like an amazing insight into this whole process, because I was going for internal ultrasounds and blood tests every second day to actually give us that indication of what was going on. So I could see the growth of all of those follicles, and that, and then you could see the actual increase in that one follicle that would be your mature egg that would be released. I'd get the trigger. So the trigger was the LH that triggered ovulation. And then I would get support from, in the second half of the cycle, with progesterone pessaries, which made your progesterone increase, so that the lining of your uterine lining was like beautiful and ready for implantation. So I was really lucky to actually see that firsthand, which gives me a really amazing insight into actually how our hormones work and how our cycle is working. So what does a normal period look like? So common is different to normal. So we have been kind of conditioned to really think or see that our hormones or our cycle is supposed to look a certain way. My cycle, before all of this happened, even during when I was on the birth control pill, it looked a certain way, and I thought that was normal. And looking back now and looking at what is normal and what is healthy, it was completely different. And I wasn't even cycling with my hormones, but my cycle was like just full of clots and just the wrong color, but I thought it was normal. So I really want you to understand that what is normal for you might not actually be healthy, and understanding what normal should be gives you an indication about where you want to go and what you want to do to try and maximize and optimize your cycle. So this is what it should look like: 28 to 32 days, regular and consistent for you. Red cranberry juice color from the start to the finish. So your browns and your pinks and your spotting and all of those things are not normal. So that gives us an indication that there is some imbalance in your hormones. Your period should last 4 to 7 days. There should be a strong flow with no clots. So that was not me. Even after I came off the birth control pill and finished with IVF 5 years ago, there was a lot of clotting, which was not normal, but I didn't know that. It should be not inconveniently heavy. You can feel your uterus with some slight sensations or warm feelings, but you should not feel pain. You should not feel pain, which makes you reach for drugs or a hot water bottle. It should come and go with ease, and there should be very minimal disruption to your life. Now, from talking to a lot of women, this is not what their cycle looks like, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for them to see this. So is this what yours looks like? So if it doesn't, then come with your questions to our question and answer coaching call at the end of the week, and we'll have a look. So like I said, it's the 5th vital sign, so really, really important. If you have a look in your ebook, I've written out what different types of flow is actually what it indicates. So the red V sign type should be cranberry or cherry red in color, clot free. This is the ultimate goal for each cycle. So I'm very proud to say that this is what my cycle looks like now, and it makes me happy each time it comes and it looks like that. Apart from the disappointment of the lack of pregnancy, like that goal of having that beautiful flow of that red V sign type is really amazing. The second one is purple, so deep purple blue in color, clots and clumps. So usually this indicates that your estrogen is too high. So it causes the uterine lining to be thicker than normal, heavier periods, more severe PMS symptoms. So yeah, PMS is not normal. Brown V-time site means V sign type. Gosh, I can't even speak. Indicates a low progesterone. So it just means that the uterine lining cannot shed completely, and the leftover blood oxidizes and turns brown. So that's also not normal. And then the pink V sign type is pale pink for the first and last few days of your period, which is a sign of low estrogen levels, which could be it doesn't mean that you're in menopause, but it's a sign of that perimenopause sign later on in life. But it causes shorter periods and ovulation issues, can lead to osteoporosis and heart issues later in life. So yeah, so have a look at that ebook and have a look at what your V-type sign is, and then it'll just give you a bit of an indication of what's going on in your cycle. So that is it for this video, and I will be back with a bit more on hormones.